What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tardy to the Party, aka T3P, where us two hooligans talk shop about the holy trinity of pop culture, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. I'm your boy Jsib, joined by, as always,
I'm KP here.
We're back to join our boys and Omega in the Bad Batch. We had some technical issues last week to record, so you're gonna get all three of the last ones that dropped, 6, 7, and 8 review here. So let's just get right into it. KP, what's your thoughts?
So right into it, 6 and 7, as we get some nostalgic feeling of some returning Clone Wars characters. You kind of do as that if you're an all watching everything Star Wars fan, you know that you're going to be pretty hyped for this one from the get-go. And it ended up being 2 very great episodes. These dropped at the same time, so they followed their path of dropping multiple episodes at the beginning of a season, in the middle of a season, and then presumably at the end of the season. So, we're at our midway point, I guess, for this show or this season. These 2 episodes were amazing. Episode 8 is, to me, on its face, it's more nostalgia, if you will, because we get another character once again that is in other Star Wars lore that we've come across before, and that is great. But I will say, though, with episode 8, it feels more of a filler, and it's kind of like, yeah, this is not really all necessary, and by the end of it, it's leaving you with a feeling that, well, you didn't really need a whole episode for this. You could have just done a quick couple things and had it left at that part, and then we could have had some other stuff in this episode. That's just genuinely how I feel on episode 8. It's obviously more recent, so I had a little bit more to say about it, but that's actually just how I feel on the 3 as a whole, as we are catching up here to where the show's at. How did you feel?
I'm in agreement with you.
3. How did you feel on all 3 when you
I'm in
were
agreement
watching?
with you. I thought the 2-episode drop was smart on their part. They definitely should have dropped at the same time. Thought it was a very strong outing.
You haven't really watched all of Clone Wars either, correct?
I've just seen bits and pieces.
Yeah. This is a good balance here, We got me, who's watched basically all of it, and Jay, who's kind of more casual and, just has a different, totally not biased opinion on the nostalgia aspect of it. So it's probably ultimately a good thing.
I thought that it was 6 and 7 was a strong outing. They had quite a bit of action, and they got actual progression through the story a little bit, which has been kind of a drag, it feels like, this season. And then oddly enough, with 8 coming out as well, I kind of just went back to what I keep saying, at least about this season of the show, is this show just would probably be better if you binged
it. Space crocodiles.
And it's
Space Florida. Space Louisiana in the swamps.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Islands.
That's
Mardi Gras. Go to it.
That's spoiler. if you're possibly in other countries, but you might not get the reference. But if you live in America, that's basically a spoiler without being a spoiler. So yeah.
Yeah, basically, actually.
Yeah.
So while the one cameo in 8 was cool, I was a little let down and maybe wouldn't have. I don't know what I'm looking for. I was just let down in the end. I thought they kind of set up that certain characters in this cameo would be chasing, I thought was going to have more of a payoff, I guess, or be someone of significance. And maybe they are. But to me, the casual, I was like, who the f is that? And I kind of lost interest in the episode kind of after that point, except for when they'd go back to the Omega and Crosshair stuff. Thought that was really cool. They're setting up some cool threads there. But I get this feeling that I think you're probably starting to get as well with this kind of feeling fillery-ish is I'm kind of wondering if this certain info or half info that the batch has gotten, this question uh, pertaining Omega, I feel like it's going to be the classic. Oh, it's going to take them like 3 or 4 or 5, God knows how many episodes for them to figure out what we, the audience, already know. And it just,
Right,
I
and
hope
you
that's not
kind
the
of
case because
gotta.
I'm really not looking forward to that if that's the case.
That's the thing about like shows that like to do that, where we the audience already know, and we're waiting for these characters to figure out. You kind of want like more dramatic tension and suspense. I feel like that's what
Yeah,
that's what you're kind of used to, especially like I hate to compare it to like something like kind of like almost like certain elements of Game of Thrones. It's just like, oh, all this is going on, and this character doesn't know that yet, and or if like you're watching Dexter or something. But in any case, not to really compare it, but yes,
no, I agree. There are
you're
way better ways to go about it that are effective and or interesting, even when you already know certain things
mhm,
that characters don't. But it feels like the way they approach it is
yeah.
never that satisfying at all.
Yeah, it's just it kind of holds more true to the fact that we still got to remember this is an animated show that's and I mean they say it's intended for young audiences, but there's times where I feel like you kind of got to be a little more mature to really keep connecting the dots of what's going on. But so filler is eh, it's like it's expected, but at the same time, when we know this day and age, we already know like how many episodes you're going to put out, and when that number is not over 20, I kind of feel cheated getting filler episodes. So that's why we kind of so negatively think about this stuff. But in any case, yeah. So our sentiments are basically the same. Yeah, the 6 and 7 were very, very good, and number eight's just kind of like interesting, but then gets boring, and you realize that of what the episode is. And I agree with you that I was definitely at one point like in the episode where I was like, "Oh, this is going to be the entire episode. This kind of sucks," and because I just kind of knew that it was going to end up being filler, and it's like the episode itself, it wasn't even like that like it was like there's action in it and there's some suspense, but I don't know. There was just something about the fact that it's just you really, like you said, you felt like maybe this story is supposed to mean something bigger, but then ultimately, like it never, I don't think ever really was. And again, when you watch the very tail end of the episode, that was really the only point of the entire thing. The entire plot of the episode was like that little scene of um I don't know if we really want to get into spoilers, but just a scene that happens with one character to another that we don't know because it gets mumbled on purpose. But I have a feeling since we know which characters are going to recur in this season, I have a strong feeling of who she was talking to.
I'd say I wanted to pick your brain on who you thought the mysterious voice was at the end. I think
Hmm.
my sentiments really, to kind of wrap it up before we get into spoilers, it feels sometimes a lot in this series, especially the last 2 seasons. It feels like, even though they're only like 20, 30 minutes episodes, it's still a good chunk of time to tell a story. And I always feel like there's so many episodes where we just move a fucking inch, man. Like to move on through the story. And it's just like, I understand a slow burn at times. Slow burns are good when they're done well. But this just feels like constantly like, eh, eh, like just constantly just
Hmm.
inching. And then sometimes we get like a banger where it feels like we jumped like a couple feet maybe, but it's just like most time it just feels like we're inching, and it just gets
Yeah.
kind of. I'm feeling like a lack of payoff, especially for this being the last season. I'm just kind of feeling like this. Is this it? I mean, I've been
It's
tooting
true,
that Filoni
yeah.
the
I
goat. I
mean,
love this guy, and then I'm not jiving.
yeah.
But we'll see. We still got almost a little less than half a season left, I think, by this point, right? 13 or 16 episodes.
Uh, I thought it was like. I really thought it was. Oh, it's 15
Oh,
episodes.
15. Okay. I was wrong both times.
I was gonna say 16, but it's 15.
Okay, so yeah, we're
How does
pretty about
IMDb
a little
already
over
know
halfway,
the
but
titles of the episodes? That's a
Hmm?
little. IMDb already knows the titles of the episodes, which that's kind of like.
Oh, they got the inside scoop, Brit.
Well, yeah, they probably have already watched the entire season. But
All right, let's we can get into spoilers now and
yeah,
talk about the things we liked, we didn't like. Not worry. So yeah, yep. If you haven't seen it yet, bye bye. Please leave us a like, subscribe, maybe tune back in once you've seen it. All right, KP. Let's what. How you want to do? You want to break it down, or you just want to talk about the highlights, the dislikes? What you feeling today?
since we're covering 3 episodes technically, and we're probably going to go on a little bit again about why we didn't like 8 so much, we should probably just talk highlights, but that's how I feel. I mean, do you want to like really break? Do you want to? I mean, can break it down. I guess it wouldn't be too like again like really talk about like the gist of it. Like we kind of open episode 6 with seeing some great recurring faces. You know, my boy back there next to Vader. Is on the screen. And, us Clone Wars fans, it's like, oh, that nostalgia comes back, especially for him. That's our guy, that's our boy. Especially when you're a Clone Wars fan. You grew up with that troop. That's who you watched. So again, when you've watched all of the Star Wars and you see that guy, you see that helmet, you're like, oh, this is you already know I'm gonna love this, and I did, and you did, or I did, whatever, do. And then we kind of get some other familiar face, Senator Shuchi, which we've seen many times in Clone Wars a ton, and then yes, she made an appearance in a prior season of Batch as well. Basically having a meeting with another senator. Their meeting to me was kind of like almost a very, 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 very teeny tiny little baby steps toward a rebellion. The way their conversation was going, I was like, as I was watching it, I'm like, oh, this is literally all the senators like getting together to make a rebellion. So okay, like this is like they're just kind of sprinkling this in here, whatever. The entire part of it is the fact that you basically what do we call it, an X-99 clone, one of these.
I think that's what they're called.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe should just Google it, but just to make sure. But oh shit, that's not what I would think come up. Anyways, but he basically, I think he tries to kill one of the senators. Motherboards came up when I googled it, so that didn't work.
Oh, okay, that's good. Okay, good. It wasn't anything bad.
Whatever. Yeah.
Oh, they're expensive. Oh, no, I'm thinking a graphics card. Never mind.
Well, motherboards, if you get a good one, they're not cheap either. But
yeah, sorry.
Oh, you're good. So Rex and his crew, Hauser is with him. That's the one clone that I couldn't remember. Like a main character clone, if you will. They capture this clone. When they bring him in to where they're hiding out, they realize on his data puck, if you will, like his target list on this data puck, Omega is on the puck. So Rex is like, well, we have to tell Hunter. So Rex has Echo working with him. Echo communicates to Omega and Hunter, Crosshair, and Wrecker, like, hey, we need to all meet up. And so they go to where Rex is. And, we have this giant, cool, like, Avengers Assemble, except it's Star Wars and it's clones. And it's
Clones
what we
assemble!
want. Yeah, it's what we want. This kind of is earlier in the video we were pointing out this is obviously an episode that kind of actually gets our plot progressing because Rex says, yeah, Omega's on this data puck, and essentially Omega says, yeah, they're after me because I apparently am able to do some transfer of this thing called M counts, and I'm not sure what that is. Now, again, we as the audience know that this is all in the grand design of the Emperor to somehow return. Jesus Christ, Disney.
Filoni's coming to save another trilogy.
Yeah. As episode 6 is titled Infiltration, we understand then that's because there's another X-99 clone that has infiltrated Rex's base, gathering info. He makes a call to another clone battalion that's in the area, who says, like, okay, yeah, there's a high-value target on here for the scientist.
Hemlock?
Hemlock. Why can I never remember his name?
You can also just call him William from Westworld, because that's who voices him.
Holy shit. Yeah, that is him. Holy shit.
He's also in Person of Interest, too.
He's in quite a bit of things.
Yeah, he is. He's a really good actor.
Yeah. He's in House of Cards as well.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Good shout.
Yeah. I think Doug gets him murdered because Doug makes him...
Whoa, anyways, spoilers!
Sorry. Yeah.
You were in spoiler section for Bad Batch when we threw some House of Cards spoilers at you, bitch.
That show's old. You should have seen it by now. Anyways, for Hemlock, the clone battalion, the X-99 clone, like, gets revealed. It's Wolf. So again, even more nostalgia for our Star Wars Rebel folks. So it's like, oh, we're connecting now, like, because we know that in Clone Wars we had Rex and all these other clones, and we know in Rebels that we find Rex when he's like an old man, and he has these guys with him named Wolf and Gregor, and we're like, okay, so this is like an episode for like the foundation of that union that's we know is going to happen in 5 to 10 years, and so this is really, really cool. And again, they just kind of keep drawing you in with all these characters, and that is where Filoni will hit his home runs. He doing shit like that. So, anyways, to stop y'all nerding out about it, basically the X-99 clone causes a scene. He does murder the one that's captured that, our clone Avengers tried to interrogate, who wouldn't talk. It's kind of ironic. The one that's captured, I think he basically tells them, like, something along the lines of, you all are already dead. And then he just gets shot like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I know. He's like super
whatever.
grin and smug about it. And he's like,
yeah. Yeah. And then he just gets shot 5 seconds later. And some explosions happen. And then it's like we think the one clone basically gets rubble trampled on top of him. Then our hero group then is like trapped and they gotta find their way out a different way. And I believe that's kind of where we cut into episode 7, and it immediately picks up from that moment. We find out the bad clone, the X-99 clone, he's still alive. He's not doing 100%, but he's still alive. Wolf and his group show up on planet side, basically asking him, like, dude, what the hell happened? You blew everything up, and we're supposed to take this prisoner in alive. And, the X-99 clone's like, yeah, they are alive. They escaped in the catacombs. So Wolf is like, all right, well, we're gonna trap them in the back way that they went because they discover the way that they went. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. Like they're going down.
X99 says, "Fuck that," going after him.
Yeah, X99's like hell bent on making sure he gets Omega, so he goes after them from the top side. And I love it too because, Clone, who cares what number, says to Wolf, like, yeah, he went, or maybe it's a stormtrooper, technically, I can't remember. It's like, hey, he went down the hole, and he's like, yeah, I don't care, and seal it off. And he's like, that was amazing about Wolf. He was very by the books and just like a soldier through and through, and he's like, well, that guy's an idiot, so fuck him, and we're going around, so...
Clone or not, he's fucking stupid.
Yeah, clone or not, he's a big old dumb dipshit, so, he's just, So it becomes basically this cats and mouse game, because Crosshair's trying to fight with the 99 clone, who's going down this cylinder, escape down this mountain path, that they're all inside this mountain. The rest of our heroes just have to find this one room with a little escape pod so that they can go out to a larger ship, which, of course, they do. So Wolf and his team realize, like, okay, they're getting away in that. So then, again, the 99 clone is still chasing them the whole time. Like, it's quite fantastic how this guy, like, keeps up with them. And, and then eventually, it's like it's kind of like, it kind of gets to be a hero moment with Crosshair. Like, Crosshair kind of continues to prove how he has changed. He's back loyal to his friends. He tells all of them to basically escape, and he'll hold off the X99 clone. They wind up fighting on the top of a waterfall, and you kind of get this feeling. You wonder, like, oh shit, are we going to lose another one? Is he going to die? And, this is Star Wars, and that even though we have our theories that that's probably going to happen way later in the season, it doesn't happen at this time. Crosshair kind of wins. The 99 clone.
Real quick, did you see the meme of people posting of who did it better, and it was a screenshot of Crosshair and X99 fighting in the waterfall, and then it had the Black Panther scene from the first one when they're fighting on the waterfall. I was dying.
That's hilarious. Who did it better?
I was like, this is one of them times when the internet's actually good for something,
I mean, it is Disney. They do kind of like to reuse their ideas.
Which I think is why subconsciously we were a little bit worried about Crosshair, because I think in the back of our brain we're like, wait a minute, I don't like where this is going.
Right. Just wait a minute, I've seen this before.
And this vibe ain't vibing.
Right. Oh shit, he's gonna die.
No.
He just redeemed it. And that was the other reason too, was that it would be like a gut punch to the audience. He had just redeemed himself, and he sacrifices himself for his friends. That's why I definitely was getting the feeling I thought he was for sure, like, they were killing him off there. But again, no, good guys win. Well, the good guys don't win.
Yeah,
the good guys do get trapped. And then Wolf comes out, and he's like, wait a minute, he's like, it's, Spider-Man's. It's just Rex. It's just Wolf. And Rex is like, dog.
Gives him a Helldiver salute. Respect.
Yeah, sure. Rex is like, dog, the Empire sucks. And they literally don't care about you. And Wolf is like, dog, I'm a soldier. I don't care.
I do.
But I kind of have a lot of respect for you. So wait, maybe I'm starting to care. And ultimately, they go their separate ways. So again, like, as the nostalgia fan and you watch Rebels, you're like, oh, damn it. You're like, you just, I'll say this. It makes me think that later in this season, that whole interaction is going to pay off. Like, we gotta see it. We gotta see why Wolf ultimately decides to join Rex. Because again, we already know, the audience, another thing that you said earlier, we as the audience already know that they're together in Rebels. So, but this was a better feeling of
Yeah, this is like one of the kind of the good
you know,
examples, and I agree with
good
you.
examples.
I would think they, I would hope at least they would have kind of that payoff moment of where they already kind of like teased you a little bit of like,
Yeah.
here's the early signs of the mutual respect between these two characters and kind of the beginnings of how they would eventually kind of just retire together with another fellow friend. Um, so
Yeah.
I would hope that later on this season there's kind of like this whatever it is, if it's like a defining moment of Wolf definitively like leaving the Empire or Rex saving Wolf, both, whatever.
Yeah,
I would
it's
hope there's something there to kind of tie that bow for. They have to. This show with Clone Wars and Rebels are just like way too intertwined. I feel like that's like a huge miss if they don't kind of just give that to the Rebels fans of just like at some point in this season of just being. I don't know. I'm agreeing with you. I think it's coming, so I'm not too worried.
yeah,
About it.
I kind of feel like this is again like we talk about Filoni, and I feel like this is him purposely like using these characters in this, so like to get us to care about this show, like which is kind of ironic and silly because technically these are side characters to our main hero group. But, I won't lie that I'm kind of more vested in this season now because I need to see that payoff. Because,
Yeah,
because again, God, we aren't in episode 8 yet, so I'm not trying to rant too much. But the thing is about it is like, we all know at the end of the day, yes, Palpatine returns. But that's literally like where we're at in Star Wars. It is 65 years after this point that he returns. So we already like know Omega gets away. We already know this will happen.
Yeah, because I think we've kind of both been in agreements that we think if anything, maybe maybe not. It could go another way.
Like
But
we
wouldn't
we
Grogu be the more
again, yes,
viable
that was
option?
that's my next point. He's the other reason we know Omega gets away. Because in Mandalorian, the Empire's after Grogu for this exact same reason.
Yeah.
They need DNA that has M count in it so they can make a Palpatine clone that can wield the Force. That is the entire point of Project Necromancer. In our extended EU not canon lore of Star Wars, Palpatine had tons of clones of himself, and essentially every time you killed one of him, he took his life force through the Force and went into the next body and was like, "Yeah, I'm back again." And he returns he returns technically like 30 times. Not exaggeration, but that's legitimately like the big point of the EU shit, I believe. But anyways, we're talking about Bad Batch. So I ranted for a long time recapping 6 and 7. They are last week's episode. I don't know that we need to do a breakdown of episode 8.
No, but
how do you feel?
One little thing that I'll just kind of. I think you did a really good job breaking down all that stuff. I kind of chimed in when I really felt like I needed to.
I gave you all the cliff notes. I mean, go watch the episodes; they're amazing.
One thing that is kind of odd and really disappointing in a weird way. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too rushy about it, but it's so odd to me. Unless I missed it, Omega gets a new like handheld like crossbow, whatever blaster.
Echo gave it to her.
Yeah.
It's like when they show up.
I still don't think she's used it once.
I think she used it in those 2 episodes.
Did she?
She was. I mean, she was trying. You got to remember, she's not a warrior like the rest of this bunch.
I don't remember her pulling it out and ever trying to shoot it. Because I was waiting for it, because I wanted to see what it looked like. And obviously it's not going to look much different, but I still wanted to see it in action. And I don't know. I could have missed it, but Let me know in the comments, chat. Or
It's chat. Tell this guy she pulls it out and shoots it. I think a couple times. Again, it's not much, but
I was a little let down. I don't know. That could be my my error there, if I am wrong.
She definitely uses it.
I don't know. Just I could have missed it, but I was like waiting for it because they showed the gun, so I'm waiting for it to then be used later. Classic storytelling. And it never came for me. And I was like, well, that's kind of odd. You introduced this new toy you're going to sell to kids, and then you didn't even use it. Like, and then once again, to lead now into episode 8, she doesn't use it there either.
Well, she doesn't do fuck all in episode 8.
Yeah, well,
so.
yeah. Which is fine. I actually liked her and Crosshair stuff in episode 8. That's like, what's weird is this episode kind of had me in the first half. I was like, I'm vibing. And as soon as they get with Fennec Shan,
that's how you know this video's been going on a little long for us, because we literally are repeating ourselves again here. Go on. Sorry to interrupt.
When they got to Fennec Shan, I was like really hyped. I was like, ooh, who's this like big bounty they're gonna go after? It's just this.
That was like.
I was just like,
that was kind of the thing with me too. I was like, oh, it's Fennec Shan. Okay, sweet. You got me interested. Same thing. Oh, what's this bounty gonna be? Or like, I kind of thought, maybe we'll see another bounty hunter we always like to see. And she's like, no, we're gonna go after this praying mantis. I'm just like, who the fuck? Like, who cares? What? Who is that? And like, and it's like, oh, this is so and so who basically robbed some people and took off with the money, and now he's on planet Louisiana and fucking hiding out there, and it like, I'm just like, holy shit! Like, I don't care. Like, and like by the second half of this episode, we got freaking space bayou boats. Like, Jesus.
Kind of cute.
I mean, it was kind of cool, like, to watch. It's kind of cool to watch Wrecker, like, literally manhandle space crocodiles and fucking body slam them. I mean, that was awesome. But, like, other than that, it's like.
What was the conversation she had when Fennec's like, somebody that's good at infiltration, like explosions or whatever, and Wrecker just goes, I'm the best at that, or something like that. Like,
yes, she says, like, I need someone who's good at infiltration and tracking, you, Hunter, and then I need someone who's good at demolitions. And he's like, well, I'm the best at that. And as soon as that happened, all that made me think of was the very first, I'll never forget it, the very first episode of this series. Here's a fact: I like to blow things up because I like to blow things up. That's immediately what I thought of. I laughed to myself, like, that kind of callback of Wrecker's personality.
Love him.
But yeah, it's just like you said. It's just like the first half of this episode, I'm like, oh, cool. And then I realized, like, oh, this is the entire episode of them just like, oh, it's Fennec and Hunter getting to know each other, and that's a whole thing, and they get Fennec's bounty, and the other part of our story is Crosshair. Omega's trying to help Crosshair with his PTSD and the little medbot. I can't remember his name. Crosshair gets pissed. He's like, it's all in my head. You're saying it's all in my head? And he's like, yeah, basically. He's just like, it's like, you have PTSD, dude. Like, what do you want me to do? I can't physically make you better. And I will say, really cool. This episode, I don't know why, I kind of started to notice how they have, and I don't know if they've done it over time, just in this season alone. Maybe it feels like it, or maybe it's just because, like, Omega is obviously so noticeably older than from when we first had her in season 1.
Yeah, no, there was, I think I mentioned something I think I mentioned something when this season premiered that it felt like there was a time jump because of how much longer Omega's hair was from when we last saw her and
Yeah,
how she seemed like
but
she was taller.
I was gonna say, yeah, like this episode, I actually kind of noticed how like she seemed to be taller than episode or than in seasons 1 and 2, and I think each season they've progressed her age. So
Oh, I'm sure.
that way we get some understanding that there has been a little bit of some time jumps here.
Hmm.
But I don't know why with this episode it just kind of stood out to me a little more.
Yeah, and I mean they've been another thing I feel like they've been kind of well slowly and somewhat building up to is like her force sensibility. It seems like, especially with like the M count regardless,
Yeah, yeah,
but I mean
yeah.
with the whole meditation thing too. I feel
Yep.
like they and I can't. There's past examples, and I can't. Also, she's feels like she's very like a beast empath or whatever. Is like can really like communicate with animals, and isn't that also like a
And
Jedi trait? Uh,
yeah, that kind of comes from Rebels. Ezra did that a lot, where he used the
that's
Force to
right,
kind
Ezra.
of,
Yeah.
yeah, he kind
Um,
of was the starting point of using the Force to communicate with animals. And there's a cool part too where like Ezra gets all like he taps into his anger with the Force, and then he gets a bunch of I think it's like two separate instances where like first there's like one episode where he gets like wolves to fight for him, like before the last season, the big wolves. He has like small ones fight for him. It's a whole thing. But yeah, that's like a whole thing. And yeah, it was interesting. I had forgotten that moment that basically Omega sits Crosshair down and was like, "You need to meditate with me. This is what the Wookiees on Kashyyyk taught me," which basically the force sensitive Wookiees,
mhm.
taught her to basically kind of meditate and tap into the force, but not really her knowing what exactly she's doing.
Right, right, right.
But that's yeah, like you said, I remember even thinking that same thing. Like as she was doing that, I kind of wondered. I was like, oh, is this like they're gonna introduce her into being force sensitive? And I would assume that's the direction it might go, but.
I
Oh,
mean, especially
especially with another character that's gonna come around later, it could happen, dude. Like we're going to get Ventress at some point in this show, and fuck, it's possible. It's possible now. Like, anyways, back to this one. Yeah, but that's like the gist of their little plot, and
I
uh,
was like, but the other talk was so much more interesting
yeah,
than this
yeah,
episode. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Well, and Hunter and Fennec, they capture their praying mantis guy.
yeah. After that, I did think it was kind of funny how they had to like stun him like six or eight times, where they just kept going.
It was
Bam, bam,
ridiculous. That
bam.
was so ridiculous. I was like, what the hell? Like, and these guys even like immune to stun blasters? Like, yeah, like you said, they literally shot him with stuns like 7 times. It's like, what the fuck?
Got super bug over here, Brett.
Right, dude. Bug on friggin' roids?
Anybody got any
Or
kryptonite?
I'm on a fucking shit ton of spice, man. like, like I don't know.
Spice and death
Like,
sticks.
yeah, yeah. I'm all hopped up on spice and death sticks.
That's really
Uh.
uh
Well, the very
until
again. I
the
mean,
very end. I mean, I feel like it's all the main beats of the episode, right? We get
pretty much. I mean,
yeah.
Fennec splits from Hunter and Wrecker, and Hunter's like, "No, you owe me information," and she just, of course, being the sly bounty hunter that she is, just I never said I had it on me. I have to go get it. And she's like, "You're just gonna have to trust me." And then, we get to the end of our episode. She makes a call to someone, and she's like, "Hey, um, yeah, I was just with some people that you're gonna want to know about, and I've got some good info for you." And I think she even says, and they're asking about Project Necromancer. So I think you're gonna want to know about these targets, and then like it's a mumbled voice on the other end because again they don't want us to know who she's talking to. Um, I have a feeling I know who she's talking to because again this character is also supposed to come back in this show or in this season in this show.
Let's see. I feel like I already know who your main guess is.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I think you would all agree with me. Our biggest theory is that she was most likely communicating with Cad Bane because he's also another bounty hunter, and he's very much always worked with the Empire and Palpatine himself.
See, that was my initial thoughts because that was the only other bounty hunter I could think of. She would have known
And it's already
is Bane, but I also thought potentially maybe I don't know really anything much about. I know very little about this character, but the one you just referenced not too long ago. The is she the former apprentice of Duke?
Ventress was, yes.
Okay, good.
So yes, that is also what it could really realistically be either one. Because Ventress is yes also a bounty hunter at this point.
Well,
so it could be her. I really, if I really had to guess, I believe they're both of those characters are going to show up in the same episode. Because Ventress is kind of like
makes sense.
Ventress is kind of reformed. Once she Ventress gets abandoned by Dooku. She tries to kill him. It doesn't work. It ends up getting all of her Night Sisters killed. So she's a loner, and then that's kind of how she becomes a bounty hunter because she needs to make her way in the galaxy. And it's pretty much when she starts running around with Boba Fett, but she still kind of does her own thing a lot. And then, of course, like, Clone Wars, the show, never really shows what actually ends up happening with her. We just know from other pieces of the lore that she dies at a point protecting, fuck. The Jedi that Obi-Wan, that's referenced in Obi-Wan, and he's in Clone Wars as well. God damn it, I can't think of this. His name escapes me. I'm sure y'all other diehards out
Let
there
them know
like,
in the comments. Let them know.
Yeah, remind us in the comments. Which that's the whole thing of like why all the fans with this season they're like, well, wait, how the fuck is she still alive? Because technically by now I think she's supposed to be dead, but who knows? Hell, she'll probably die in the episode that we get her in, and that's how they'll tie that off. But yes, it could be either of those two. It really could be either of those two. Again, I kind of more personally think it's going to be Cad Bane. I don't think it's going to be Ventress.
To me, as a casual, Bane would make more sense. Just, I don't know, because the interaction last season, yeah, I initially just went to Bane because that was just the first person I could think of, but then I remembered that it's already been leaked that she would also appear later in the season too. So I was like, well, maybe it could be her too, and this is how she gets in here. But I'm with you. I kind of hope it is Bane because, yeah, once again, what you said, I think they would both appear most likely in the same episode anyway. So,
Jedi I couldn't think of was Quinlan Voss, and maybe he even comes back, but who knows?
Oh, Quinlan Voss. I actually do know that name. Don't know anything about him, but I know the name, man.
Because he got referenced in Obi-Wan, and people like to talk about him because he was always kind of a more liked character from Clone Wars, I believe. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's
that's kind of it. That's really all. That's honestly all. Everything. That is it.
It's done. We're done.
I'm gonna rate.
Let's say, do you want to do the ratings? Like, you want Yeah, you want to do?
I am gonna personally rate 6 and 7 together because they dropped at the same time and they are one full story. And
I
I
agree.
have to give those two like I would say like an 8.5 for sure. Um, even maybe even all the way up to like I almost like want to just say a 9 out of 10 for me on those two. Because again, but I don't know. I hate to score it so high because I mean, it's only it's amazing because again, more it's nostalgia because I get characters that are from other shows that I grew up loving for the past, 10, 15 years of my life. So that's my score there. For episode 8, I'm gonna go lower. This one's kind of a 6 out of 10 for me. Again, it just
What a
kind of.
swing! What a swing!
I mean, but I feel like it's warranted. I mean, like he said, we've said this is like the fourth or fifth time that he and I in combination are saying this. With episode 8, you had us in the first half. Not gonna lie. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm pretty much right there with you. I think for me, I'll be a little bit lower on 6 and 7. I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna give it an 8, which I think is actually like. I think that's the highest point in the season so far. I could be wrong, but it's definitely up there so far in the season. Got me really high hopes going into episode 8. And then yeah, just kind of fell flat. So I'm gonna have to give 8 a 6. I'm just gonna give it a flat 6 as well. Please, dear God, please don't be. If you have to, just keep dropping them 2 episodes at a time. Just keep doing it. Yeah, that'll wrap it up. So we apologize for the late upload for 6 and 7. Once again, we had technical difficulties, mainly me. But
and we decided to take a week off because of it. Who cares? It happens.
Yeah, I needed a little breaky poo. But yeah, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Look forward to Invincible 5 and 6. Yeah, 5 and 6. That should be uploading here pretty soon as well. So until next time, KP, where can the people find ya?
Well, when I stick to my schedule, you can always find me on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday. Politisk is the name. And again, if you ever join, KP to make it easy. And my co-host here, who does all the editing and the hard work, has the links below. So that's where you can find me.
Thanks, buddy. You can also find me on Twitch and other social media at your boy Jsib. Usually stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, most Fridays, and then any other days, it's a surprise stream. Who knows? But those are usually my days. I'm for sure pretty locked in. So yeah, once again, links down below. So until next time, I'm your boy Jsib.
And I'm KP.
See ya later!